wish everybody a good morning to another LIAFPN event. I want to say happy Groundhog Day. And, you know, one of the things, that's today. The Talk at Phil.
Or if you're in the movies, it'll be tomorrow too.
Right. But, you know, the interesting thing about Groundhog Day, there's a message there that I was thinking about this morning. And one of the things I know in my business, sometimes you're very successful at doing something and you abandon that and you start doing other things, whether it's a lead system or something else. And all I can say is with Groundhog Day, think about all the things that have gone right in your business and in your world and repeat them. And don't forget them. That's kind of my message today. Hi, Lisa, how are you? So with that message in mind, we are very excited to have Rob Fishman lead the parade again today, who's really been a tremendous innovator with Sandler training in helping us cope with this COVID world in this new world of dealing with people on a virtual basis. The networking doesn't stop. The meetings don't stop. They just evolve and change and are different. And Rob's did a session last time that talked about that. And now we're going to go more in depth and actually do some actual, you can call it networking or meeting one another, maybe for the first time, or maybe we know each other, but maybe we'll know a little bit more about one another by the time the session is over, which will create a better relationship and hopefully business for everybody. And before Rob starts, I want to welcome our two newest members, Daniel Digiorgio and Peter Ortiz. So welcome, guys. I'm very happy to have you here. Both these gentlemen are experts in the area of pension design. They have ERISA attorneys behind them. If any of your accountants or financial advisors have pensions and you have questions, these are the guys to go to. They're experts. They're terrific. They're in all kinds of markets, municipalities, regular market, small business, big business, really comprehensive. So welcome, guys. I appreciate you joining.
Thanks a lot,
and I
Neil.
welcome
Neil.
people. Yes, thank you. And membership makes us stronger and allows us to grow and meet more people. So with that, Rob, take it away, baby.
Well, thank you very much, Neil and board. Daniel and Peter, welcome to the group. Tom Doherty, it's great to see you. Tom and I were in a group, I think back in 2008, if I remember correctly, 2009. We were in a group together. So Tom, glad you're here as well. So I'm going to pick up where we left off last month. But what I'd like to do is start with a little exercise. Daniel, would you take yourself off mute for a second?
Sure.
Okay. So Daniel, first of all, it's great to meet you. I don't think we've met before. Welcome to the group. So you got a family from Long Island originally?
I'm never married, no kids.
Okay. And from the area originally?
I'm from upstate New York, near Schenectady, Albany. I went to the University of Connecticut. I lived in Connecticut for 25 years. And I got promoted to run our Melville office right before the pandemic hit on December 31st of 19. So I moved to Huntington. I was living in Stamford, Connecticut for 15 years.
Where in Huntington are you?
Right in the village, right on New York Avenue.
Landmarks that near you?
Across from Bacito.
Okay, because I live outside of Huntington as well for 30 years. So we can certainly connect on restaurants. So tell us about your firm, if you wouldn't mind. In other words, who is your ideal client and who might be some strategic partners that have helped you in your business so far?
So financial advisors and accountants are definitely good referral sources for us. We're a law firm. We specialize in 3 areas. We do corporate law, we do estate planning, and Peter and I's niche and focus is the pension law. We design and administer retirement plans for small businesses. Our focus is really the professionals, medical practices, dental practices, the professional practices. Under 50 employees is really our specialty.
Yeah.
We do everything from draft the plan documents to service the plan, to do the annual 5,500 tax returns. We handle audits. We do FASB and GASB work. We have 4 actuaries on staff. We have 5 ERISA attorneys, and we have about 15 consultants.
So I heard correctly, a lot of focus on the area around medical practices. The medical profession is an area of a niche market for you. Okay. So when you're not working, what do you like to do for fun?
When I'm not working, I enjoy the gym. In the wintertime, it's a little more difficult, but I'd say if it was summertime, definitely you can find me at the beach. I love going out to dinner.
Sure.
I'm an avid UConn basketball fan, so a big basketball guy.
Very cool. And do you go to Energy Fitness? That's up on New York Avenue. Probably not too far
I
from
actually
you.
work out near work on Blink on
Awesome.
the corner of Pine Lawn and
Very cool. Right.
what's that, 110 or yeah.
Excellent. So in terms of your long-term goals, aspirations, what any big picture goals you got for yourself and your business going forward?
Well, before I came out here, there was really no one really, guiding the Long Island office for new business opportunities. We're sort of just staying afloat. So I'd like to grow with Peter's help. I'd like to grow the Long Island practice. Our main office is in White Plains.
Right.
We have a smaller office here in Melville where I am now. So growing it every year is a goal. And, keeping the office, the physical office would be nice. I know we're shifting to the remote, and I'm trying to, fight that and keep a physical presence where the employees are coming in. So I'd say that those are my goals.
Very cool. Okay, everybody, for the next 60 seconds, put one thing in the chat that you just learned about Daniel.
And I enjoy my morning coffee.
Of course, don't we all? Got mine right here. All right, just put in the chat. What did you just learn about Daniel? Could be any aspect of what we covered today. Love it. Okay, likes going to the gym, big UConn fan, avid UConn basketball fan, wants to meet financial advisors, got promoted, moved to Melville. UConn seems to be taking it. Pensions, is outdoorsy, forgot to mention likes cars. Lives in Huntington, lives near me, lives in Huntington. Okay,
Yeah,
so I just
right,
wanted to, go ahead.
I live right in the main drag there, across from Besito Restaurant, in the red restaurant building.
Yeah, so that's the building that burned down.
I know, I heard.
Yeah, that was, and being that we've been living in Huntington for 30 plus years, my wife and I and our kids, we raised them here. They've both since left the area. I remember when that fire happened. It was crazy. So welcome. All right. So hi, everybody. You saw a little quick exercise that we just did is meeting people and talk about what networking is. If you're taking notes this morning, here's one you want to take down. All right. Networking is defined as creating long-lasting relationships for mutual gain. That's networking, right? Creating long-lasting relationships for mutual gain, right? I have never met Daniel before. Spending not even 5 minutes together. We learn a little bit about each other, not just about, hey, what do you do? What do you do? If you're from New Jersey, that happens a lot. What do you do? What do you do? But here we're talking about, with all respect to New Jerseyans, by the way, is that we really want to get right down to Daniel's a human being, right? So there's certain parts about the connections that we make that are, fascinating. So we're going to do a little bit more of that, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a background and connect the dots from last time we were together to today. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I've got an alternate screen here. So if you put me on speaker view, you'll see my materials a little bit better. So let me go ahead and switch over to here. Can you guys see my screen okay now? All right. Okay. So what types of introductions are we talking about now? Now, as Daniel brought up the medical profession, ding, 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 ding. And I'm thinking about even CPAs that focus in medical practices is a niche, right? So there are two different types of referrals and introductions we're talking about today. We're talking about the ones that are direct, where one of you may become a client of another. And that happens. It's the low-hanging fruit. But more importantly, the real cantilevered approach and indirect approach is around the connections that we're making to each other that will lead to future introductions and future business opportunities. Make sense? So I'm going to give you guys some networking tips today, and I've got a whole bunch of them. So take some copious notes today about the way that you're networking now. And again, it's not about, creating this thousands and thousands of connections. It's about going deeper and creating more solid introduction and connections, having a board of directors, having a good assortment of strategic alliances that you have. There are many of them here this morning. So the possibilities here are endless. I subscribe to the abundance mindset. I'm sure all of you do as well. There is a ton of business out there. It's just a question of continuing the flywheel of success. So what we're going to do now is go back over a couple of principles here. We want to talk Emerson's law of compensation. In other words, how do I help people, right? And it's really about getting more of that go-giver approach that we talked about before. That, in other words, how do I give more to get more? How can I help people in this group with introductions within my network, people that I know, clients of mine? All right. So that's an important element that we're going to sort of talk about a little bit more. So today we're going to go from technical and a little bit on conceptual about how to be more successful in how we have and make these long-lasting relationships for mutual gain. That's the important part, mutual gain. All right. How often are we interacting with each other? Neil and the board here have done an outstanding job of having meetings, getting speakers on a myriad of topics about business development, about your own professions, how to be better at it. I loved the discussion before the meeting started that came up, on finance and on taxes, right? But now, how do we interact more effectively? How do I do enough of the right things in order for me to be more successful? But now let's get into the conceptual part, which is what happens between my ears. In other words, the mindset, an abundance mindset of helping people get what they're looking for. How many of us, by a show of hands, have met people that are just incredible networkers that you find that they're always looking to help? Anybody know people like that, by a show of hands? They're out there. And the question here is about, how do we resemble that kind of person out there who we are attracted to in a business development sense, that they're always looking for ways to help others? And I've met a bunch of people in my career that are just like that. They're always seeking to be of service to you. They want to know more about you. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the layers of creating those deep relationships. And then from there, we'll take a little bit further. If you want more, give more. How many of us might set a goal each and every week to make introductions to other people? Now, I know we're all busy with our own practices and our own businesses, but is there opportunity for us to do that, right? And again, I know consistently I hear from Neil with another introduction, another person you should meet. Not necessarily the next client, but it might be an introduction to a potential strategic alliance. And those are great introductions. So maybe give some thought to that as we go through this again. Who here has seen the film Pay It Forward? Worth another watch. On a nice snowy day, may I suggest you rent it again and watch it, about paying it forward. So again, we're going to talk now about the slide over here about technique. Let's work on this. And that's what I want to focus on today, about the technique of the way that we network and the way that we learn more about other people, and eventually how to build these relationships for mutual gain. So, and when do I ask? We all know that. When am I asking for referrals? I can ask for referrals from clients. But how do I build the inventory of partners and strategic alliances, a board of directors, where I have this well of potential information and relationships that I can help to work from? So here's the 5 layers. I covered this last time, but it's important we go back here. When I met Daniel, what level am I right now at the beginning? Before we even had that exercise that I did, is getting to know him. So I'm on the lowest level of our ability to connect with each other. All right. I don't know him. I know of him because Neil had introduced him when he joined LIAFPN. But now I went up to the next one. Know what you do. I now have a better sense of Daniel and Peter's business and who are ideal clients, as well as strategic alliances that he would want to be interested, as well as the niche that he's going after. If I can make a suggestion to all of us, I think a mistake is made in being generalists and not having specific connections. We've learned that connections are much more easily facilitated if there's a niche. Like I jumped all over the medical practice thing because that immediately rang a bell with me. And I wonder if it did for us as well. So that's another exercise. Like and respect. Hey, I'm getting to know the guy. He works out. He's an outdoor guy, likes restaurants. He lives near Presidio in the Village. He's from Huntington now. Looks okay to me, right? So in other words, that's the third bullet. Now we get into the highest levels of 4 and 5 of knowing somebody who has worked with Daniel, some of his clients who I might be introduced to. His credibility and his ability to be endorsed goes up by tenfold at this point. And now, personally having worked with him, that is another level of the trust. So you see the 5 stages I've got to go through, but it comes from us, sort of planting seeds in our network and business. And it's got to start with the first conversation about getting to know each other. And that's kind of where I was going to focus, Neil, if you're okay with it, focus today on that first step, right? We're meeting so many people now that are out or they're on Zoom. Well, how do I facilitate this conversation? So I'm just going to focus on that first piece today. All right. So how am I going to get there? This is like the, who do I ask and, who am I going to ask for referrals and introductions? Today, we're going to focus on that alliance partner and networking contacts area around, if you can see, there's people that do business with you, former clients, current clients. You'll notice there's nets around us, right? I call these networking nets. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. And I'll put up a slide in a little bit to kind of illustrate where there's opportunity for networking, where you can sort of focus in on. The goal here is to look at areas that you'd want to improve upon, or maybe have a sense of awareness of where there is networking that you can do. All right. So the strategic alliances, again, we're going to talk about these. Obviously, they're non-competitive. For those that are doing the same thing we're doing, makes a little bit of a challenge. And in some cases with this group, there are some of you that are not competitive to each other. But again, you have client lists that easily could be shared. So let me get into this part right now. So here's what I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive about networking in general and give you guys some suggestions. All right. I call this step 0 is having SMART goals. SMART, as you guys may know, there's different iterations of this, but having goals around networking, and a lot of people don't. In other words, are they specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound goals for me? And by the way, you look at maybe your 12-month sales revenue, how much business did you receive last year from introductions and referrals? And, if anybody knows that, it's interesting to look at that. I believe that the numbers are anywhere from 70 to 90% of the average business on this call today gets their business through referrals. All right. Put a +1 in the chat if you believe you're in that range. When you look at your business from last year and new clients that you got, put a +1 if you're between that 70 to 90% of your business came from introductions and referrals. Diane, absolutely. Larry as well. I mean, this is really when you think about Tony, Eric, so thank you for all that. A lot of work I do as a sales trainer and sales strategy person is around, I do a lot of work with financial advisors as well as technology firms. But for financial advisors, most of them are relying on the personal introduction from a client, right? In other words, I've done a good job for you. Who is it that that you think will want to have a conversation with me, or fresh set of eyes on their portfolio? So that to me seems to be the lowest hanging fruit. Whereas opposed to some who are really objecting to having to go out and prospect or having to look for new business that way, this seems to be one of the most effective ways for new businesses around the idea of the endorsement or referral. But getting there means I'm widening my net with new people I'm meeting to see if I'm able to network effectively. So having SMART goals is going to be my big one here. The next one is around what I call preparing your foundation. What I mean is, what the world has changed now. It used to be, anybody know what a business card is? Let me just show you one in case you want to know. This is a business card. They hand these out at networking events, right? It's something like, how many of us have been to networking events in person? It's been a while. So that the whole world has changed around to going to this type of model now, where there's sort of hybrid, the Zoom model, if you will. And what is our appearance on networking here? Do we have our best foot forward? It used to be when I would do this talk on networking, it was about, the way that you're dressing right now, having a firm handshake, smiling, politely engaging and beginning conversations, that kind of thing. But now the focus has been on how we appear on camera right now. All right. And, are we putting our best foot forward? What kind of background do we have? Who's familiar with Room Rater? Everybody see the roomrater.com, right? If you, they actually have this website where they will rate your room on your background, right? For example, look at Larry Bloom, for example, got a beautiful colored background, plant in the background, you know, I mean, the camera angle that you have, is it below? Can I see up your nostrils or down at your forehead? You know, is the camera off completely, right? That kind of thing. So that's preparing your foundation. Number three, what I call step two now is defining your target market. And this is an area where I think there's opportunity for us to really clearly define our ideal client profile. In other words, if we were to do an interview right now, and again, Neil, if you don't mind, let me just ask you a couple of questions, all right?
Sure.
Just about your ideal client, right? So Neil, what would you say you love about your favorite clients?
What do I love about my favorite client? One, he's likable. I trust him.
Okay.
He trusts my advice. I trust his opinions.
Okay.
You know, my clients are typically CPAs or other financial advisors actually that come to me with you know, designing a product for them. So designing,
right.
so
Good
it's
question.
a little
Mhm.
different than consumer.
Got it. So next question for you, if you don't mind me asking this, kind of a direct question, but what is it that you dislike most about maybe your least favorite client? Without naming them, of course, but what might be some things that you just don't like about it?
Demanding, disrespectful of my time.
Okay.
I think is a big thing.
Gotcha. Okay. So here's another question for you. How do you differentiate your business from others? What is it that you might do differently than others that do what you do?
You know, I'm an independent wholesaler, so I have a lot of different products. I do underwriting a little different than the other firms. Every case or client that comes to me is a client. It's not a case. It's not a. It's a person. It's somebody that's coming to me that wants coverage, that I want to put the best product that I possibly can, irrespective of company or anything else, whether it's a health situation or financial situation or whatever it is. I want to have the best solution for that client or for that agent who's bringing me that client.
Yeah, thank you for that, Neil. I appreciate that. Let's go to now the step where you see emotionally engage your network as the next one, right? What I mean by that is you think about what is your unique selling proposition, all right? So we know that in sales that people buy emotionally and justify intellectually. They buy for their reasons, not necessarily ours. So by emotionally engaging our network, what I'd like you to do right now in the chat for all of you, I'd like you to list the reasons that people do business with you. How do you help them? Go ahead, everybody, just put it in there. Put it in the chat. What are the reasons people buy from you? What are the things you help them with? And keep an eye on what's coming up on the chat and who the people are. Hopefully you put your name and your company next to your name. I think I did put it in the chat. So if you want to rename yourselves with your company, that would help. Okay. I see trust dreams, goals, navigating rigor. People trust me. They know if I don't know the answer, I'll get the answer from professionals in my network. Yes. Helpful with solutions available for calls. I always answer. I solve payroll. Thank you, Teresa. Yep. Larry, knowledgeable, actually care and priced right. Fee sensitive, availability, high level of service. Okay. Okay, good. All right. So thank you for that. All right. And the exercise there is really an important one because if you think about this, if I was to ask your competitor the same question, would it be similar to what you wrote? And it's an interesting exercise that we do because we think about what creates differentiation. And that's right there. As we think about our high level of service, we're responsive, we're knowledgeable. Those are the kinds of things that when you think about what the term is called cognitive dissonance, when people think to themselves, I've heard that before. So it's sort of like, well, then what is unique to our situation, right? And I think, Neil, you talked a little bit before about being independent. So those are some of the things that we look to take that different channel to be a little bit more outstanding. How many of us have competitors? Show of hands, right? We all have competition. So what is in our messaging that is different than what our competitors might be saying as well? So we want to be careful about some of the words we're using. All right, so let's go on to the next one. Step 4, identify 5 to 10 key relationships. And again, this is going to be an exercise for you right now. Write these down. No need to put them in the chat, but see if you can write down 5 to 10 key relationships that you have right now. See how far you can get.
By class or individual?
It could be either or. It could be by class, but there's another exercise here with that if you're going to go by class. If you go by class or type of business that's a good strategic alliance, now you write the name next to that class. I'm going to ask you to score that in a minute. So see how far you can get.
Or you want existing clients or just resources for us?
It could be any kind of resource, Larry. It's good. It could be a client as a general category, but by a key relationship, that means that you're getting frequent introductions from that person. Does that make sense? So if you think about CPAs as a referral source, or think of benefits folks as a resource, then you're going to put a name next to that. That person's occupying a seat on the bench. That's by really clearly identifying the 5 to 10 relationships that you have. Now, let's put a score next to the names you've written down, 1 to 10. 10 is there is an active, healthy, two-way flow of introductions. 1 is don't really speak to them often at all, and anything in between. And that might present an opportunity for you when you look at it to evaluate who you are currently working with. And by the way, I'm not saying it should be limited to 1. There may be more people involved. Now, I know because of this group that there's a lot of business done between several people in this group where you're on the speed dial, for example, right? You're the first one I'm calling. As far as this exercise goes, we often look at, who are some of the backups. So that's the individual and give them a score. And that's about identifying those 5 to 10. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. You may look at the list that you have right now and say, well, maybe I need to add some more. And it might be types of businesses that are good strategic alliances. It may be, the one that strikes me most is trust and estates attorneys and wealth advisors. That's just, a really solid, good referral relationship there. Now, if you go into the world of real estate, we know there's tons of opportunities within that type of group. All right, I'm going to move on. Number 5 is joining strategic organizations, i.e. LIAFPN, for example, this is an area where, and think about, and if you want to write down a list now, what organizations are you currently in? All right, it might be, do you sit on the board of a not-for-profit? Are you involved in this group, for example, or any other type of business or trade or professional group that you're involved with? So the key here is around joining those where there's like-minded people in the group. All right, so my little plug for LIAFPN is this is a group where we dig below the surface and really look to create more depth in these relationships. Number 6, building your personal board of directors. On my board, Neil Himmelstein's on my board, unquestionably, right? So choosing the personal board, and really those are going to be the people, the business professionals you truly respect, whether they're business attorneys, business coaches, executives, they're CEOs, people that are in your circles, another way about really effectively networking. All right. Number 7, be interesting and interested at the same time. Everybody, you guys know what I'm talking about. How many of us have met people that don't stop talking about themselves? Like from the moment you meet them, they're talking and talking and talking and talking and talking about themselves and how great they are and what they do and how wonderful, right? And there's like no conversation. So the suggestion I have is really literally, there's great books written on this. I think one of the best books is Dale Carnegie's book. That's about how to win friends and influence people. And that the greatest conversationalists out there are the ones that listen first. Hey, tell me about you. Right? Again, Daniel, back to our conversation in the beginning. I wanted to know about Daniel, and Daniel's now telling the group about himself and his personal experience. and how he got his pathway to today. So being interested first is asking better questions up front and being prepared to do that. Step 8 is delivering incredible value. And by the way, Emerson's law of compensation kicks in here. If you want more, give more. Am I spending 80% of my time on my clients? Am I asking them for introductions and maybe prospecting only 20% of the time? That's the value of a good business development formula. Working smarter, not necessarily any harder. So again, by thinking the organizations you're part of, what benefits and value do you as a member bring to that organization? Things that you can contribute. So Neil and the board have asked me to come and speak. This is what I do for a living. So this is my gift to the group, this is my years of experience and how I've worked with my clients. These are things that I'd like to depart and information to the group. And I know everybody else here would be willing to do the same. I know if it was any topic on having to do with accounting, I'm looking right at my friend Larry Bloom, who's going to say, well, yeah, this is exactly what you need to do to help us learn more about what Larry does. But Larry also is giving back, which is another part, delivering incredible value. Number 9 is all about the next one of redesigning your referral system. And you really clearly can do that. I want to teach you an acronym today. The acronym is called LEAD, L-E-A-D. And if you're taking notes, is our ability to refer to each other is in the ability to L for listen, for key pain indicators is what they're called in this world of Sandler. A pain indicator is an issue that somebody may be having where they may need your help. If I'm talking to somebody and they say, hey, Rob, my accountant does not return my phone calls. Right? You hear something like that. We give pause for a second. My accountant doesn't, right? E is for expert, right? In other words, I might say, hey, I know somebody who I think might be able to help you out. A is for ask. I ask that person if they want to receive maybe a 15-minute call from Larry Bloom. Hey, would it make sense for me to make an introduction for a quick phone call to Larry Bloom? D is for decide. In other words, no pressure here. I'm not hard selling the introduction. I say, why don't you spend 15 minutes and you can decide at the end if it makes sense to continue speaking or not. So that's the acronym of LEAD. Now, if you think about, if we all know each other and we start elevate about, we all know what we do in this group, we now know who our ideal clients are. We now know who our strategic alliances are. And now we're using LEAD, that we're listening to people who could be clients. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've helped clients of mine who have asked me. Now, the position I play with clients is their quarterback. So in other words, if I'm dealing with sales strategy for an organization, I'm kind of in the quarterback position. So if a CEO of a company says to me, hey, Rob, I'm looking for an attorney that handles trust and estates, right? Do you know anybody you could recommend? How many of us have been asked that question? Can you recommend somebody? Do you know of somebody? Right? So it's following usually that acronym of LEAD. Hey, I'm listening. I'm hearing what you're saying. I know somebody who I think I'd like to make an introduction. I'm going to ask for them to give you a call, or I'll make an email introduction, and then you can decide if you want to continue speaking. Make sense? Done. So that's step 9. I want to give you a couple of bonus here. All right. The bonuses before I move on to the next one. Step 10 is the follow-up. Consistently, I call it the fruit analogy. What happens to fruit if we don't touch it on the counter for 2 weeks? So following up means if I've got this relationship that's created through networking, I want to constantly go back. How many of us are on LinkedIn? How many of us have LinkedIn first connections we've never, ever spoken to? How many of us have connections that we'd like to follow up with them and continue to do that? And if I can make a suggestion to all of us this year, especially with, I saw Tony before put something down about digital business cards. Yeah, this is the age of LinkedIn and social selling and hybrid selling, which is really about, if you're going on LinkedIn and you're connected to people, it's always good to check in with them and see how they're doing. And, you know, asking some sort of open-ended question and keeping a dialogue going, it does lead to opportunity again. And it's only one thing that we can tend to do. So let's go on. Here are the networking nets. There's 5 of them. The jealousy net is all about if for example, if Neil opened up and handed me his spreadsheet of all of his clients, I would love to have that spreadsheet. It's called the jealousy net. And Neil would also love to have the list of my clients, right? So that's all about the jealousy net. I'm jealous. In other words, if I think about if I do, I have a strategic alliance with peer advisory boards, whether it's Vistage or Compel or Tab, that those are CEOs, right? So in other words, my strategic alliance like that would lead me to a CEO introduction. Those are the people I usually talk to. Benefit, the benefit. Who benefits when you get business? Think about that for a second. Who are people in your network that benefit when you get business? Anybody have suppliers, wholesalers, people that benefit when you make a sale? That's an important element too. Current and past clients. I like them and they like me. Hey, there's just people out there you just really like, right? And that may be a shorter list or maybe a longer list for some. And there are some out there that just love you, right? So this is an area what I call the networking nets that we can stay focused on and continue this area. So think about who are some jealousy nets that you'd like to get your hands on, right? And I'm not saying you're stealing their records. I'm just saying that it's all about that networking opportunity. So I just want to kind of expand what you're thinking about the whole networking piece, all right? So I want to teach you the acronym that I used with Daniel before. And the acronym is FORD. If you notice in my lines of questions with Daniel, I asked him about his family. He said, not married, no kids, right? And we went from, and by the way, some people would say, no, I don't have kids. I've got a dog, 3 dogs, 3 cats. Yeah, I've got 2 kids grown or no. So that's family. I don't ask a lot of specific questions, just kind of general sweeping questions to just sort of like start the conversation flowing because I care about the human being first. The O is about your organization or occupation. All right. So I asked Daniel, hey, tell me. Actually, Diane, would you mind take yourself off mute for a second? All right. Let's run this again. If you're cool with it, we'll do it in like maybe 3 to 4 minutes. So Diane, so tell us about you, where you're from originally.
Well, I am half Midwestern and half Southern, so I don't have a mean bone in my body. I was born in the Detroit area and I was raised in Columbus, Georgia. And I'm a proud Port Washington resident here on Long Island.
Port Washington. Yeah, I moved there when we first got married. Wow, I love Port. So tell us about obviously your firm, UBS, and who are ideal clients for you? Who do you typically work with? So tell us a little bit more about that.
UBS is the world's largest and best capitalized bank. So it's gigantic, but I like to think I'm a boutique here in Long Island, and I'm really enjoying being able to pull on very senior resources. Talking to a vice chairman is like talking to the person next to you in the office. So I'm enjoying the local feel.
Yeah. Any specific niche that you focus on in your practice?
Yes. So prior to my life as an advisor, I was on the institutional consulting side at Willis Towers Watson. And one thing that I missed from my life was bringing discipline and governance and rigor to people's plans that affect not them as an individual, but a broader mission or goal. So I'm bringing that back into my practice, helping an endowment and foundation achieve their mission, as well as bringing that same mindset to families and business owners.
Great. So who are some really good strategic partners for you? Like who are some that can help leverage those introductions you're looking for?
Pretty much everyone on this call. I would even say people who work at competing firms. I'm really proud of the local community that we live in and that we're all very collaborative and we talk with each other and we help recommend solutions to one another. Sometimes something isn't a right fit for me and I'm able to talk to an RIA who has their own shingle in Long Island, or someone who focuses more on athletes is not an area that I really like to enjoy. And that reciprocity works both ways.
Great. So when you're not working, what do you love to do?
Sail. I think most people on this would have expected me to say that. I love being out on the water. It's a passion. Sailing's a passion that Long Island gave to me. So I'm very grateful for that. And I am anxiously awaiting news that I have a new sailboat. I'll find out this weekend.
Ah, nice. Okay. And long-term goals for you is doing what you're doing, continuing, hopefully mixing in your sailing a little bit more and maybe pulling back a little bit on the work thing eventually?
Well, I don't really believe in work-life balance. I think there are times in your life when your family requires more attention and there are times when work requires more attention. And it's really important to be satisfied in both areas so that you can have the energy to address both. I jokingly say that I'm a frustrated family physician because that's what my dad was growing up, and that was truly what I wanted to do. So I enjoy helping people take care of themselves, and I think their financial health is an important part of that.
Excellent. So thank you. All right, in the chat, one thing you learned about Diane. And then Neil, I'm going to hand it back to you. We'll do some networking.
Gotcha.
All right, one thing did you learn about Diane just now? Isn't that amazing? Look at what just happened. 4 of the top people, 5, 6, sailing. I just want to share a quick story. I'm a musician, went through a conservatory. I'm still actively doing musical direction and conducting. I play the piano. And to this day, I'll never forget this, that I was able to get into a very large company because the CEO is a drummer. If you strip away all this stuff, you know, about, well, who you do and your strategic alliances you're looking to meet, it's the music connection or the sailing connection, because I'm thinking of people that I know that love sailing, right? A wonderful thing to do in networking is to never forget about when people aren't working, what do they love to do for fun? It's like glue, and amazing relationships get created for mutual gain as a result of that. So I'm going to hand this back to Neil because we're going to just sort of do a little bit of networking at this point. We've got a larger group here today. So Neil, let's hand it back to you, let you facilitate this.
Well, I thank you. Well, we were going to do breakout sessions, but unfortunately, our technology is not up to snuff today. So what we'd like to do in its place is one-on-one, just talk a little bit about yourself. Focus on the key things that we talked about. What is it you like to do? Who are the type of people you like to work with or you would like to be introduced to? And last but not least, what is your niche? What makes you different than everybody else in what they do?
Neil, if I could offer a suggestion, we'll get the breakout room thing done for the next meeting. If we end up taking a section of the meeting and dedicating some time for this one, we can do that.
Right. So Larry, if you could, Larry Bloom, start and just briefly a little bit about yourself, a little bit more maybe that we don't know.
So I'm very passionate about what I do, but that my profession or occupation doesn't define who I am as a person. I like the outdoors very much, hiking, canoeing, and whitewater rafting. My other passions outside of work are basketball. I'm in a game I play twice a week. I like going to the gym. Like Daniel, I like going to nice restaurants and dining. I'm a dinner person. I don't like to spend time for breakfast or lunch going dining. Also, like Diane, I enjoy sailing. As a child, my parents had a boat. I grew up sailing. Before kids, I actually owned half a boat with a friend, and after 2 years, I convinced him to buy me out because I just didn't have enough time to utilize it. As far as work, my client base is privately controlled companies. Most of them, I would say, would be small business, a handful of middle market companies, manufacturing, distribution, a lot of real estate. I like working with the family business because I can get involved in their personal lives as well as their professional lives and be an integral part of their planning team and also their lives. So, and hopefully make a difference.
Terrific. Larry Shearer.
Good morning, everyone. I guess my personal likes are, when I'm away from work, has a lot to do with playing racquetball, which I can't wait to get back to. 2 more knees and I'll be able to go. I also collect fossils, which is one of those weird things that people don't know. And I am an avid watcher of soccer games, especially European. So when I work, my goal is to try and save money and make the next generation, every one of my clients' families, wealthier by the act of properly planning their family's estates. And what makes me different is I also have a CPA background and LLM in taxation, so I have the right background for acting in as a trust and estate attorney.
Daniel, we heard from you. We'll go next. It's all good. Bruce.
I too do trust and estates. I also do some general tax, though not the sort of what goes on what form. I know nothing about the forms. I think what makes me different is whatever it is, I've probably dealt with it. I've probably thought about it. There's a good chance I wrote an article about it that I can fairly quickly find, and I can save an awful lot of time. I get a lot of very unusual kinds of things. Just yesterday, something came up. Somebody created an insurance trust, and they had a 30-year term policy, and they died right in the middle of it. And so there's default allocation of GST exemption to the early years contributions, but not to the ones after that. But we can make a timely allocation to 2021. So we have to go figure out what the inclusion ratio of this thing is and how much exemption we have to allocate to make the thing fully exempt. And fortunately, it's something I've dealt with before, so I can do it. But what's different is that would somebody else have spotted the issue? Never mind being able to solve it. Just
Excellent.
as an example.
Mr. Phil. Sadie.
Me off mute. Hi, good morning, everyone. Phil Kenyuk, forensic accountant, business appraiser, partner at SADI. So that's my occupation. I do a good deal of work in the trust and estate area. And that would segue me into speaking about my personal side. I'm a big family man. I have 3 kids, married 30-something years. At least 20 of them are very, very happy. So I say 2 out of 3 is pretty good. My wife doesn't agree with that. But I get a chuckle every once in a while and a smack in the back of the head. I like to fool around and have fun. I'm a big outdoors guy. I've got lots of hobbies, from masonry to kayaking. I'm an avid skier. I have property upstate, which gives me a lifetime of masonry work to do. And there's just not enough hours in the day for me to do all the stuff that I like to do and work as well. My best referrals come from trusted advisors like the people on this call. Trust and estate is a big area where I do valuation work and enjoy that probably as the best portion of the work that I do. I think I covered most of my topics.
And fireworks, right?
I am a licensed, not just a pyrotechnician, but a licensed pyrotechnician. And I have a Department of Homeland Security certificate that says I can transport as well.
That's big.
Yes, it is.
Always good to know. End with a blast, I always say.
Yes.
And Peter, how about yourself?
Thanks, Neil. Phil, I live upstate, so I'm looking for a good mason, so I'll keep you in mind. So I learned something from today's call.
Northern
already.
Catskills, and I love to barter masonry work for professional services, as well as
Okay.
help out friends.
Great, perfect. So I work with Dan, not to overlap what he had mentioned earlier today, but I think what makes both Dan and I different in the pension world is a lot of our colleagues, and I'm not picking on anyone in particular, but some ivory tower stuff, risk attorneys, actuaries, sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly, what are they saying? And I think what we bring to the table is being able to work with, whether it's the end user or a potential referral source or some other intermediary, how to explain these very complex topics and make it understandable for who we're speaking with. As far as personally, I live upstate, as everyone well knows, the 845 area code. I like spending time outdoors, kayaking. Phil, seems like we got a lot in common here. Golfing and so forth. I'm a recently promoted to grandfather status, so I have a 1-year-old grandson. So very happy to be spending time with my daughter and son-in-law and my new grandson.
Terrific. And Janet, good morning.
Yeah. Hello.
us a-
I am currently living in Huntington. I grew up in Oyster Bay. I moved to Huntington in '93. I live up near Condrey Hall off of West Shore Road. I have been in the insurance business since 1986. My daughter just joined us 5 years ago. We mainly do personal lines. Oh, let's see, what do I like to do? There's a lot of things I like to do. I go to dinner with friends. I like to travel. I'm a scuba diver. I have a motorcycle. I go to the gym. I belong to an organization called Well Armed Women. And what are my dreams? My dreams would be maybe to retire before I'm 80.
That's a good one.
Well, my
thank-
dad worked up until he was 88, so.
Well, it's terrific to meet you, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Tom Doherty.
Good morning, everybody. Phil, thanks for inviting me. And Tom Doherty, I live in Huntington, so there's a lot of Huntington people here. Lived here my whole life, born in Huntington Hospital. I didn't venture very far. I'm married with, I have 3 boys. 2 of them finished college and they're back home. So Rob Fishman, tell me how you got your kids out, because I'm working on that strategy right now. I have my 3rd child is 19 and he has Down syndrome, so he's our challenge. Great kid. He's in a program we have right now that learning how to. He worked at Chili's one day. He works at Party City, so they've got him out there in the workforce. I belong to a group called the Ancient Order of Hibernians. It's a charitable organization in Huntington. We help feed the people food kitchens. We stock the food kitchens here in the Huntington area. We also run the Huntington St. Patrick's Day Parade. So all you Huntingtonites, hope you're down there on 3/13. This year's Michael Dowling is our Grand Marshal. He's the CEO, President of Northwell Health, and we're honoring all the frontline workers, healthcare workers. So come on out, support the local restaurants and bars, because they could use it. We didn't have the parade last year, so they, they're all hurting a little bit. So Daniel, from where you are, you probably can just look out your window and you'll be able to see the parade. So I'll give a shout out to you.
Excellent.
I'm a risk manager, kind of like what Janet does. I help business owners identify their risk. And there's 3 things you can do with risk. You can eliminate it, you can absorb it, or you transfer it. And transferring is where I come in, fancy name for insurance salesman. We give them insurance to help them mitigate any risk they might have. And we're located in Rockville Center. And that's it. Thanks for having me today.
Fantastic. Thanks for coming here. Eric Freed.
Unmuted. Good morning.
Oh, good.
Eric
morning.
Freed, I'm with Janover. We're a medium-sized CPA firm, offices in Garden City and Madison Avenue, Manhattan. I enjoy traveling. I work hard because I love to travel, and it's been a while since we did actually in the fall take a trip. It was our first real trip since the pandemic to Hawaii, which was wonderful. Stayed within the States because due to all the pandemic issues, we were not exactly comfortable going to foreign countries, maybe getting stuck there, who knows. Looking forward to doing some more traveling later in the year. Got a trip, going to try to go to Iceland in May. My clients are high net worth individuals and closely held businesses. I act as a financial, call it the financial consigliere. Those of you who know me have an affinity for The Godfather and other movies of that genre. My clients, my best clients are the ones, and I wanted to speak up earlier when we were talking about what do we like best about our best clients. They appreciate us. They appreciate us. That's, someone said respect. Okay, it's just, it's respect, it's appreciation, it's fair payment of fair compensation. That's what makes a great client. Thanks.
Thank you, Eric. Donnie.
Good morning, Donnie Schulman. First of all, Phil almost did fireworks at my wedding, so he is really more than an enthusiast. He is an awesome guy. If it wasn't raining and the location wasn't perfect, we would have had that happen. So if anyone needs to have fireworks, randomly at an event on Long Island, call Phil. So I'm a client strategist with BNY Mellon. I work mostly with multi-generational families, usually generation 2 and 3, so ones that are inheriting assets. Recently, I've been working with a lot more tech entrepreneurs, individuals that have done very well with their companies and are coming into wealth for the first time and figuring out how to actually manage it. And I also work with endowments and foundations. My background was as a planned giving fundraiser before I got into finance, so I kind of like to keep that in the scope of what I do. I really love to meet people, connect, and usually volunteer. I serve on a few different committees and boards and lend my expertise when available. Most recently, my temple found out I do planned giving, so now I'm recruited to the temple board to help them do planned giving for them. So sometimes I like to keep that private because, too many people know they'll all ask you to help fundraise, so that's always fun. My personal passion is actually coffee. Anyone that's ever met me knows that I'm having 3 or 4 cups when I sit down, but I actually at home buy green coffee, mostly from Costa Rica, take the beans, roast them myself, and then usually give them to friends, family, just because I will never drink as much as I'm actually making. So that's been a lot of focus there just for fun. During the pandemic, I've spent a lot of hours in the garage perfecting that. And I guess one of the differentiators are that I like to have now. I'm a chartered advisor in philanthropy, so it is really fun to talk about clients when they're working with their wealth in the state they created, how to give it away and give it away effectively, and that's just a really fun conversation to have versus just how is my money doing. Yeah.
Excellent. And Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Neil, Larry. Ed, it's great to, Eric, it's great to see you. Larry, I know for years, so it's nice to be part of this. Thank you. I love to help people. I am very passionate. I've heard some things about you guys that I can relate to. I love the beach. I have a house in Fire Island and Ocean Beach. I love live music and dancing. I do Pilates and yoga. I'm a former Syracuse cheerleader, so I heard UConn and I was like, wait, did you go to UConn? Who said that was a UConn fan? Dan, right? What else? I'm a huge traveler as well. I've been to over 35 countries and some multiple times. I've traveled alone out of the country several times. It's been a fun adventure for me. I also missed traveling through the pandemic, although I happen to be in Florida. I live in Westbury, but my mom was in the hospital, so I came to help her in Florida, and she's out of the hospital, thank goodness. And so I'm still here taking care of her while working. And I have been in the PEO industry for over 20 years, professional employer organization. It's a way for small to mid-sized businesses. We can give them the leverage of a Fortune 500 company, especially when it comes to medical benefits. We can pool together our clients and create leverage and economy of scale for offering Fortune 500 benefits at lower rates. I do cost analysis and consulting. Because I've been in the industry so long and worked for multiple PEOs. We're known as the service PEO. Our differentiator is all of our HR consultants are labor attorneys that our clients get. I really help. What I find is when I get referred clients, I'm helping them get out of overwhelm of multiple vendors, and I streamline their administration, make their life easier, mitigate their employer liability, because we give them technology, HR, benefits, and the whole picture to really help them attract and retain employees.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, terrific. Oh, no, we're running a little short on time. I do apologize. Teresa, want to get to you and then I'll sum up. Are you available, Teresa? Can we see you? Not on camera. Teresa's terrific person in human resources.
I'm sorry, I'm
There you
walking
are.
into a meeting at ACLD. I'm helping them with the Limitless Luncheon, but I just wanted to say that, I have, 4 kids, so that's really my priority, traveling with them. I have one special needs child, so it really is a passion, to help organizations like the ACLD. So I'm proud to, be able to help them. And for work, I do payroll consulting. So we have a payroll technology, and we prioritize the employee experience and all the technology involved in that. And my goals are, this year to make President's Club, which I've never done before. So I hope to make that goal. Thank you.
Thank you. And
All
just
right,
a
bye.
little bit about me, if you don't know, many of you don't know, yes, I'm extroverted, but I'm very introspective. I play a lot of online chess. Not only do I play a lot of online chess, I carry that out with my profession. When an insurance case comes to me, it's a puzzle to me, whether it's somebody's health, whether they have diabetes or prostate cancer, whatever it is, I make sure that we fit the right product with the right people, whether it's life insurance, whether it's a premium finance case, whether it's high net worth, which is one of my passions, and organizing people's, I like to call it my code. I give them choice, organization of their assets, direction, and education. That's my code. That's what I do. Our next meeting, we're going to have a P&C specialist give a CPE credit to accountants, talking about why you need to talk about P&C, what the differentiating things are. I have my own personal story about P&C insurance. Hi, Tom. How are you? Don't really have time to get to you today. I love you, Tom.
No problem. Thanks.
Good
Very
person and a
interesting
big.
stuff. Thank you.
You talk about one thing about Tom. I'll tell you real quick. Tom is one of my what I call supplier. He's a wholesaler for American National Insurance, and my relationship with Tom goes back about 20 years, 25 years. Tom introduced me to a carrier. I was one of the few carriers that I was one of the few wholesalers for that carrier in the marketplace at the time, and we killed it. We absolutely killed it with that carrier. They left New York State. Tom left that company, came back years later and said, you know, those clients you helped me obtain 20 years ago, now they're our best clients still, but now with his company. So that's the good karma, and that's what the relationships and the long-term relationships. Rob Fishman talking about your suppliers. I keep all my wholesalers close to me. You never know where they end up, and you never know where business ends up. And that's the importance of good relationships. So our next meeting we have planned. I hope you had a great time. If anybody would like to meet anybody in the group and have a good introduction, please reach out to me, reach out to Larry Bloom, reach out to Larry Shear, and we'll make those introductions for you and make it work. Thanks, everybody. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Have a great day.
Great meeting. Thank
Happy
you, Rob, for
Groundhog Day.
presenting. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Happy
Bye.
Groundhog Day.
Thanks,
Take care, everyone. Bye.
See you.